Welcome to today's edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. I'm meteorologist Ted Keller. First of all, you can see there's a clear chunk of the U.S. today that is cleared out from even thunderstorm probabilities. Nice stable air mass has moved in there, continued to dive in. We do have a little bit of an area of thunderstorms in the northeast, and I'll talk about why I'm circling that here in a second, in particular Massachusetts. And then we have these two level 2 areas. Let's zoom in on those. First of all, we'll go to the northern plains. So North Dakota primarily a little bit of chunk of South Dakota and Montana under a level 2 out of 5 severe weather risk today. And that primary risk is going to be wind with 15% chance of a 59 mile per hour wind gust or higher in the area marked in yellow there. And then we go to the southeast, northern Florida, southern Georgia, including Jacksonville and Valdosta, and all the way over to Tallahassee and Albany. We have a level 2 area today. And again, that primary risk is going to be wind, 15% chance in the areas of yellow. Now, I wanted to show you this, even though the tornadoes were less than 2% risks from the SPC for today. I did want to show you NATOcast from the 0Z data last night, and it shows us a little area here of 3% tornado risk in Massachusetts and Connecticut. And I think that's interesting that that's there. There's a possibility that there's enough rotation with any storms that develop and become supercellular in that area today, but it's a pretty slim chance. I did want to show you, however, that there is a little bullseye on CSUs as well that is focused more on Massachusetts and on parts of, I think, Rhode Island. Again, that's a pretty minimal chance, only a 2% chance. But nevertheless, it is kind of curious, and I did want to highlight that for you folks. I know we have at least one person, hi Elizabeth, that watches these and watches the Facebook feed as well. And there is a wind risk today down there in that southern slight risk area. And then we turn the page to Thursday. Still a little bit of marginal risk down here in that same area as today in Florida, maybe westward into Mississippi and Alabama. But primarily it's this level 2 that shows up in central Nebraska that is showing up here from Kearney to Grand Rapids, up to Broken Bow, up to O'Neill and Valentine. And again, the primary risk on that, once again, is going to be wind risk with that 15% yellow highlighted area. Colorado State University is showing a little bit of tornado probability, though, east of that area that the SPC had the wind there. This is showing up a little more to the east, so that's something to look out for. And there's also a wind probability pretty close to where the SPC laid it down as well. Then on Friday, another front's going to be moving through the plains here, something like that, into Friday evening. And so there's a marginal risk out for that area there in the Ozarks from Columbia, Missouri, straight down to Jonesboro. It does include Springfield, but I think primarily it's areas east and southeast of Springfield that will be getting in on some possible severe thunderstorms on Friday. Also, we have this front range area from Denver down into New Mexico. I did want to show you CSU does put a little bubble, a little dot of tornado frequency there in northeast Arkansas. And also, I didn't put it in here, I should have, but we have a storm cast. I think it's Stormcast. I forgot what it's called. StormNet, that's what it is. They did put a little bit of a 20% tornado risk in southeastern Missouri as well. I just didn't include it here. So I'm keeping an eye on it. There appears to be enough wind shear instability and low-level wind shear to get a tornado threat at least mentioned on Friday. And then on Saturday, the only real area of concern is this 15% here in Louisiana, and then beyond that, it takes a break for a while. So finally, the supercell composites for this first 7 days have focused on that area that's coming in with that next front. So that's Thursday and Friday's probability pretty much mashed into one. And then the week after that, it really picks up again. So there's strong evidence that fronts will continue to move and stabilize the air here. But out ahead of that, there's at least enough instability and shear to support some supercells in the Corn Belt back to Nebraska. And that's getting out there. That's August 5th through August 11th. And then we're looking at the 12th through the 18th, a suppression of the probabilities, but the area still remains the same. So it does seem as if the theme for the next couple of weeks will be fronts that continue to move on a jet stream flow, which is showing, weak troughiness, I guess you could say, out here. And that'll continue to promote disturbances and hence fronts that kind of come in like this and then stall out a little bit. And then severe weather should accumulate basically right along those areas.